Hi, and welcome back to another video. And today I'll be talking about the DNC chair election that just took place yesterday or a couple days ago, but I do believe it was yesterday, where Ken Martin won the DNC chair election. Now, this election has been closely watched by me and several other people that are closely involved within politics because if you were watching this election and if you were paying attention, you would know that the incumbent chair, Jamie Harrison, resigned after the devastating 2024 elections for the Democrats, right? Trump won the swing states and everything he needed to win, and the Senate went poorly. Both the presidential and the Senate went poorly. Oh, sorry, that's 2022. Let me pull up 2024. Okay, so yeah, they lost Pennsylvania, which was supposed to be an easy win, right? They lost Montana, which was kind of expected, but there were signs that they could have hold on, but they lost it. They also lost Ohio, which they also could have won if it didn't go so badly that night. But Pennsylvania, definitely the worst one, in my opinion. They also lost West Virginia, but that was pretty actually. You see Jim Justice there winning by 41 points. But yeah, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Montana, those were the big ones. However, they did keep Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, Wisconsin. So those are the only pluses, but they did lose 4 Senate seats, and they no longer have the majority. So these election results taking overnight. The next morning, Jamie Harrison announced he was going to resign as DNC chair. Well, he didn't resign. He just said he wasn't going to run for re-election. So he was going to be staying out of the race, and he wasn't going to be accepting another nomination. So Jamie Harrison was out of the race. So you had a bunch of these candidates running, right? You had here, let me pull up. So these were the results where Ken Martin won. You had other candidates. You had a couple that decided to drop out, like Marianne Williamson, who probably would have ended up last. I believe when the election was called, I mean, she could have still been voted for, but she didn't get any votes. So obviously the winner was Ken Martin, with Ben Wilker coming second and then Martin O'Malley coming third. Now, a lot of the top Democrat leaders within the party actually endorsed Ben Wilker. You had Jamie Harrison endorsing him, Nancy Pelosi endorsing him, Chuck Schumer endorsing him. However, the important thing, which I find it interesting, is that Ken Martin was actually endorsed by Tim Walz, the former vice president who ran with Kamala Harris against Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, who ended up losing. But yeah, he was the only one within the Democratic Party that seemed to endorse Ken Martin, and Ken Martin was able to win. Now, this election was expected to be close. As you can see from the election, it was indeed not close. Ken Martin won, with a big caucus of the vote, with 55% of the vote. He won by over 25 points. Of course, you have Martin O'Malley, who really wasn't expected to win, got 44 votes. So yeah, Ken Martin is now the DNC chair, and now it is his job to fund candidates, put them in spots where he believes is winnable, and really help out the Democratic Party. Now, this was also Jamie Harrison's job, and if it wasn't for the 2024 elections and how bad they went, losing the presidency and losing the Senate, and failing to take back the House, then he probably wouldn't have been out of a job right now. However, he is now. He is no longer. He is no longer the DNC chair. Now, in 2021, he was elected DNC chair. And pretty easily too. He did not get any competition because Democrats were really satisfied with the results, right? You go back to 2020, you go back to 2020, and things were pretty good for Democrats. Let me pull it up here. You had, right, Democrats winning the presidency, taking back the presidency from Donald Trump, sorry, that is the Senate. Let me just go back to the presidency here. You had, right, Joe Biden winning the presidency. You had him winning even Georgia. Very impressive result for Joe Biden back then, which obviously last year flipped back for Donald Trump, which I predicted, by the way. But you also had the presidency going to Joe Biden. You had the Senate flipping barely for the Democrats. That's 2022. This was 2020. You had the Senate barely flipping for the Democrats. If it wasn't for these two Georgia races, then the Republicans would have been the majority. Ossoff winning by 1 point, and then Warnock winning by 2 points. And then you had in 2022 Warnock winning again by 2 points. But yeah, you had these were the races that had to win. Now these were lost to Republicans because of Donald Trump's unpopularity, and his voter fraud claims, which really didn't sit well with the American people, and he was already very disliked by the American people at that point. And so the Georgians blamed Donald Trump, Republicans, and especially on COVID-19. And Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff were elected to the Senate, right? You also had Warnock winning re-election within 2 years later, because this actually was a special Senate election, and Ossoff was up for re-election by 2022. However, important to note that I'm sorry, I don't know if it's Ossoff or Warnock, but Warnock was up for re-election in 2022. But you also have Ossoff, who is up for re-election next year. So that Georgia Senate race, very important to watch out for, which will be very interesting to track, and I can't wait to see who the Republicans put up against John Ossoff. Obviously, there won't be any Democratic opposition to John Ossoff. He's probably got that nomination in the bag. But yeah, 2020 was a comfortable year for Democrats, and they were able to elect a new chair with no problem. Now, Tom Perez, he was the Democratic chair since 2017. You go back, he was elected DNC chair after Donald Trump was able to win by also a very large margin here. Of course, it's only by 35 votes, but he won with almost 9% of the vote. He won with about 8% of the vote, but almost 9. And he won with about, we're going to go with the exact numbers here and say 8% of the vote. So not as much as the new DNC chair, but he was able to win after, the Democrats and their devastating result of 2016. We go back, see Democrats losing the Senate to the Republicans. The Republicans, retaining the Senate, and you also had Donald Trump taking back the presidency from the Democrats. If this loads, go back to 2016 here, where Donald Trump was able to win Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, flipping Florida for the first time as well, Arizona, all these states that Obama was able to win in 2012 and 2008. So Donald Trump was able to flip it. Flip these states that were crucial to win. And obviously, we know very well about the 2016 election. Democrats, they were even worried about it in 2020 when they were polls in 2020, where some were saying, oh God, this is 2016 all over again. Although they were wrong, it wasn't. And Joe Biden was able to win the 2020 election, and Donald Trump won the 2024 election. So after the 2016 election, right, horrible performance in the presidency, horrible performance in the Senate, and they elected a new leader. Now, Tom Perez, he was actually forced to resign when considering to run for another race, which he did. And in 2021, we were elected Jamie Harrison after Joe Biden, right, won the presidency. Oh, sorry, this is really slow. After Joe Biden won the presidency back from the Republicans, winning all those swing states, right? So you had, right, he flipped Georgia, which went for Trump by 5 points, 2016, Pennsylvania, which went for Trump by over half a point, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona. However, Nevada did go for Clinton, but Joe Biden was able to flip all those in 2020, and Democrats taking back the Senate in 2020. So obviously very good news, and it made Democrats very satisfied with where they were. So which is why there weren't, much opposition to Jamie Harrison, and Jamie Harrison was able to remain as chair even after the midterm elections, which also went very well for Democrats, which I will pull up for you guys if I get to the Senate, where they were able to retain control of the Senate, and not only retain control, but also, flip a Senate seat for they got Pennsylvania, right? Fetterman won Pennsylvania by 5 points. So, and many were predicting that the Democrats were going to lose the Senate in 2022, which obviously did not happen. Not only did they remain control of the Senate, but they were also able to flip a seat from the Republican to Democrat. However, in 2024, it all came crashing down from them. But yeah, so Jamie Harrison obviously able to hang on to there, but 2024 was bad enough. 2024 was a disaster for the Democrats, and definitely what they did not want to be waking up to on November 6, 2024. So he stepped down the next morning, where he said he was not going to be running for re-election, and we had a very, very competitive 2025 Democratic National Committee chairman election. We had Ken Martin winning with 25% of the vote. Now, you guys heard me say competitive because you actually did have so many candidates, and I thought it was going to be competitive. I didn't think Ken Martin was going to win with much of that, but he did. He is now the DNC chair, and it's going to be his responsibility and his job to help elect Democrats in the 2025 governor races, in the 2026 midterms, in the 2027 governor races, and in the 2028 presidential election, the Senate elections, the House races, all of that. So that will be his job. He has a very big responsibility, and we are going to see if he is able to do a good job with what he has been tasked for. But that's pretty much it for the video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.